That's fine, then just rinse it off. And then you do it again. And when you check until you don't say anything.
Now, do you have to worry about anything? How like do this?
So we're going to Hebron, or we're going to be here for Shabbos? It's going to do now.
No, we're going to go to Hassan.
Yeah, okay.
No?
So, whatever you want. Okay, we're on page 117. Sudat Shabbat. Yeah, there's another book. It's the same books. Okay. So the last thing that we learned was that we learned a couple of important lessons about wine. One of the lessons about wine is that what makes wine so special, also bread, is that you're taking something like a grape and you're crushing it, and then it gets sour and ferments, and then eventually it becomes wine. Understand this? So the point is that when you're going through something difficult in life, don't look at it as an experience of it's just all about difficulty, but it's part of the process of something really special coming from it. And then the other thing was that the rest of the world, when they drink wine, it's usually to forget reality, right? And forget their humanity. We take the wine and we're saying that there's nothing that's going to make us forget that there's one God, right? And
how does wine help us do that?
And he's saying that because they're making kiddush. Understand? By saying that even wine is not going to is not going to make us forget about the holiness of Shabbos. Right? And then he said, okay, the door's open. Yeah. Somebody opened it for them, yeah. Sippy's up there, yeah. Oh, so we're actually the paragraph before Sudat Shabbat. ועוד דבר מאוד חשוב. One more very important thing. ועוד דבר מאוד חשוב. You can come with him with Yochi. And yeah, you guys will share there. Okay, so Tova can share with Helene, and you can share with Yochi. Okay, Seder. Okay, ועוד דבר מאוד חשוב, one more important thing. בעולם שלנו, in our world, כשאתה רוצה להראות בעלות ואדנות על משהו, in our world, when you want to show mastery over somebody, when you want to lord it over someone, אתה שם רגל ודורך עליו. Yochi, you can live in with Batya. Batya put the sefer over here, and they too. Okay. It's the same sefer. Okay. You step on it, right? You step on them. You show that you're the boss, right? HaKadosh Baruch Hu, לעומת זאת, but Hashem on the other hand, מרים את הדבר. God lifts the thing, כדי להראות עליו בעלות. How does Hashem show בעלות? By elevating. Very, very important point.
Is that why we lift things up in Kenya?
That's an interesting point. Yeah. So he says that b'Mitzrayim hayinu avadim leParo, we were slaves to Paro in Mitzrayim, and vayinu legamri shvurim, we were completely broken. אחר כך כשנהיינו עבדים של הקדוש ברוך הוא, when we became servants of God, מה הקדוש ברוך הוא עשה? What did he do? הוא הרים אותנו, he lifted us up. לכן אנחנו מרימים את הכוס לגובה הלב, you lift the cup to at least to the height of your heart, and we מקדשים and we make kiddush yom hashishi, right? So, very beautiful. You show that you're the master by lifting it up, by lifting another person up, not by putting them down. Right? Okay, Sudat Shabbat. אתם יודעים חברים, בכל העולם שותים יין ומשתכרים. The whole world, people drink wine, they get drunk. אבל אתם יודעים ממה אנחנו משתכרים בליל שבת, you know what we're getting drunk from on Shabbos? אנחנו משתכרים מהשבת עצמה. We're getting drunk from Shabbos itself. כל מי שלא שיכור בשבת, whoever is not drunk on Shabbat, from Shabbat itself, okay, not from the wine, לא מבין מה זה שבת. That person obviously doesn't understand yet what Shabbos is. כל דבר שבעולם, כל דבר בעולם שעושים, אם זה לא גורם לך להשתכר ולהתלהב, זה אומר שלא עשית אותו באמת. Anything of the world, here, yes, you come sit down with me. Anything of this world that you're not that you're not intoxicated with it, here, you come sit with me. That you're not intoxicated with it, that means that you're not really connected yet with this full truth. That makes sense to you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's interesting.
Okay. Yeah. So, the Gemara says today's Rosh Chodesh, Avodah Rishon.
Chodesh Tov.
Chodesh
Oh.
Tov.
That costume on.
You got your gun too?
The flower like this thing.
Okay. And okay, so I guess three of you will share a book there. Yeah? So the Gemara says that concerning Purim, it says, Chayav Adam Lipsumi Bepuria. You have to get so intoxicated on Purim, Ad Lo Yada, till you don't know, to the point that you don't know Ben Aruch Haman LeBaruch Mordechai, that you don't know the difference between Cursed Haman and Blessed Mordechai. And the commentators, like, sort of like, you can see who's a chassid and who's a misnagah from the commentaries that they make, from the comments that they make, like. But in any case, Reb Shlomo interpreted it as follows: Chayav Adam Lipsumi Bepuria. You have to get intoxicated from Purim itself. It's not about getting intoxicated from the wine or from whatever it is. Poshup Pshat is that yes, we drink wine and so on, but if you're just drunk from the wine itself, it's not quite the real thing. You got to sort of be drunk. He would put it. You got to be drunk on Purim. Understand that the holiday itself should make you, should intoxicate you. What's trying to intoxicate you? Basically, in the sense like lifting you to some other level of consciousness, right? Or even beyond consciousness.
Kind of like drunk with love.
Yeah. Yeah. So it says, he goes on and he says like this: Yain Megan Eden, after drinking the wine from the Garden of Eden, Yain Meisachayim, Yain from the tree of life. Mevachim Birkat HaMotzi al Halechem, we make a bracha on the bread. Kulam Yedim Shebeshabbat Hakol Kaful, everything on Shabbat is double, right? Hakol Kaful.
That's why we have two challahs?
Huh?
That's why we have two challahs?
We have two challahs because on Friday we got a double portion of man, right? So he says, Im ani nichnas lechanut v'koneh Coca-Cola, right? Achat, if I buy one bottle of Coke, c'est rak achad. Actually, Coca-Cola is sort of like a double, isn't it?
Yeah.
אבל אם הילד שלי נותן לי משהו לשתות, but if my child is giving me something to drink, huh? If my child is giving me something to drink, אתה חושב שזה רק כוס אחת, you think that it's just one cup, זה 100 כוסות, או 1,000 כוסות. כשמישהו שאוהב אותך נותן לך משהו, זה תמיד כפול. When somebody who loves you gives you something, they're giving you far more than just the thing that they gave you, right? They're giving you, it's so much more, right? באמצע השבוע נראה לי שקניתי את החלות. And during the week, it looks like I bought the chalot myself. אבל בשבת ברור לי שהם משמיים, but on Shabbat it's clear to me that it's really from heaven. במקום חלה אחת, יש לי שתיים. Instead of one challah, I have two. Do you understand what he's doing? Understand what Reb Shlomo is saying? No? No? Okay, let's go on. No. Hold on.
An idea, I don't know.
Yeah?
I have an idea that it's as if, it feels as if Hashem gave me that challah, because I usually would buy one. I got two.
Okay, so in reality, you bought the two, right?
Yeah.
But the idea of the two is reminiscent, and to remind you of the fact that we had lechem mishneh. The term lechem mishneh comes from the Chumash, right? That that on Friday we got lechem mishneh, we got a double portion of man. So the right, so all week long we would go out and gather the man every morning, and you got one portion, right? In other words, you did X amount of work, you got X amount, right? Yom Shishi, Friday, you did the same amount of work, and you got a double portion. Where from? You just did the same amount of work that you did yesterday, right? How come you got a double portion, right? Because obviously Hashem gave it to you, right? And go deeper, that's supposed to remind you that everything that you get is Hashem is giving it to you. Understand? Even that which is like even in the weekdays, what you're getting is really you're getting it from Hashem. Okay. The only difference is that Shabbat is clear. It's more obvious that we're getting it from Hashem. Okay. במקום חלה אחת יש לי שתיים. אצל הצדיקים הקדושים היו 12 חלות. There were some rabbis that used to have 12 challahs on their table. ואולי כשיבוא משיח יהיו 24 חלות, and who knows, when Mashiach comes, maybe there's going to be 24 chalot. There was one rabbi that used to mamish kiss the chalot, before eating from it. He'd kiss the chalot. אולי יום אחד יהיו 600,000 חלות. Maybe one day there's going to be 600,000. Right? In other words, the point is to be aware that it's all mishamayim. It's all min hashamayim. אחר כך, after eating the challah, אנחנו אוכלים דגים בשמחה. Then we happily eat some fish. Roy, you don't like fish?
I love fish.
Oh, great. Okay. You love fish or you love
It's just
eating
funny.
fish? Right? So then we eat fish b'simcha, right? Why? Dagim הם מאוד חשובים. Fish are very important. כי הדג הוא החיה הראשונה שנבראה. Fish is the first animal that was created. כמו כן הדגים לא טבעו במבול. Also the fish did not drown in the flood. הם לא חטאו because they did not participate in the sin. ולא התעוותו, they didn't get corrupted, אלא נשארו כמו שהיו כשהקדוש ברוך הוא ברא אותם. They stayed as they were when God created them. So בשבת, אני ממש רוצה להיות כמו הדג הזה. So on Shabbos I want to be like this fish. לחזור ולהיות כמו שהקדוש ברוך הוא ברא אותי. To go back and be the way God created me. Okay, that's a pretty amazing thing to meditate on. To meditate on being the way God created me. Now, do I know the way God created me? So, like think about it. There's every one of us, like, like if you actually will take the trouble to meditate on, like God, like, like how did you make me? Like, what were you dreaming about when you thought about me before creating the world? Right? Right? Like what how did you envision me? How did you see me in the world? Like what was, and obviously God had the highest picture of every one of us, right? And to connect with that, right? So you see, so what's happening over here is that what Reb Shlomo is doing is he's sort of like expanding your consciousness a little bit, right? He's saying, yeah, you're eating challah, but think about it. What is challah about? You're drinking wine. What is wine about? You're eating fish. What is fish about? You understand? Like eat with a consciousness. See, we saved your seat here. Okay. Right? Be conscious of what you're doing, and those of you who know about macrobiotic eating, right? There's a big emphasis on eating consciously, macrobiotic diet, right? But we were talking about it the other day. The whole thing about making a bracha before eating the food. It's all about understanding the that the food is not just a physical substance that nourishes your body, but there's divine sparks in the food, right? There's divine energy in the food, and by making the bracha, you're releasing you're opening yourself up to receiving those nitzotzot so that you can elevate them, right? Okay. So he says, Yesh anashim she'ochlim miyad marak. There are people who eat soup right after the fish, or they eat soup right away. V'ochlim b'li hafsaka, and they just eat and eat and eat. Aval ani v'ata, but I and you, acharei hadagim, after the fish, before the soup, sharim smirot. We sing Shabbos songs. Chaverim v'ikarim. אני רוצה שתדעו, I want you to know, שבעצם יש לנו את הזכות לשיר אך ורק את השירים שאנחנו הלחנו בעצמנו, that really we only have the right to sing the songs that we ourselves composed.
It's easy for him to say.
And then he says, יש משהו שחקוק עמוק בקרבי, there's something like really engraved deeply in me. Rabbi HaKodem Mojis, the previous Mojis Rebbe, ברח דרך סיביר, he escaped through Siberia, והגיע לראשונה לארצות הברית ב-1940, he got to the States in 1940. אני ואחי אלי חיים, היינו אז נערים, my brother and I, Eli Chaim, we were just kids at that time, we were like 11 years old, or maybe a bit more. היינו נכנסים אצלו בליל שבת קודש, we would come to his Shabbos table on Friday night. ברור לי שאם יש לי קשר כלשהו למוזיקה, it's clear to me that if I have any connection to music, ואם זכיתי להלחין שיר אחד, and if I had the merit to compose one song, זה רק בזכות מוז'ס. So it's just in the merit of the Mojis Rebbe. וכן לזכר קודש הקדושים, in memory of this holy of holiest, הרבי הקודמי Mojis, the previous Mojis Rebbe, אדון הניגונים, the master of ניגונים והשירה of song, אני אשיר לכם את השיר הראשון ששמעתי אותו שר. I'm going to sing the first song I ever heard from him. שיר שנחקק עמוק בליבי, is deeply engraved in my heart. הוא הלחין את השיר הזה בליל שבועות ליד הכותל המערבי. He had composed this song at the Kotel on the night of Shavuot, Kel Ribon Olam. You can hear it on YouTube. Okay? It's usually Shlomo only sang his own songs, but this Mojis tune he used to sing, and he also used to sing Rabbi Levi Yitzchak's tune. But generally, he only sang his own songs.
His own tunes?
His own tunes, yeah.
But the lyrics.
But this one, yeah, the lyrics, now the Mojis Rebbe, I'm pretty sure it was this one. It might have been the one before this one. He had to have his leg amputated, and in those days, anesthesia was still very, very dangerous. Instead of, you'll appreciate this, instead of being put under anesthetics, he sang through the entire surgery. And he composed something that has 70 movements. His Gabbai, who was standing there, remembered only 12 of them. And they sing it in Mojis today too. Like Mamish, he sang through the surgery. He was totally in a different world when he would be singing. Mamish. Hard to believe?
No, not.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, it is hard to believe.
it is. Yeah.
But there's a whole story about back in Europe. It happened to be that the Russian army, the unit, the music battalion of the Russian army was stationed in Mojis, and the commander of that music unit noticed that there were some soldiers that were sort of sneaking away every Shabbos afternoon. So he was like a real tough guy. So he really was going to get them into a lot of trouble. And he says, "Where are you guys going?" And so they told them they had no choice. They used to sneak away to go hear the music by the Majlis Tish at Shalashudas. And if you're ever going to be in Bnei Brak for a Shabbat, go to Majlis. And it's amazing. Like they sing in 5-part harmonies, in 5 voices and 6 voices, and it's literally classical music. Like it's just amazing. And they're long pieces of music. They're not like just like a 2-part nigun. It's like with movements and everything. It's pretty amazing. If you have a taste for that kind of music. So in any case, so the head of the music battalion of the Tsarist army, he came also for Shalosh, and his whole attitude with music and with the soldiers completely changed. And I don't remember if he actually converted or if he didn't convert, but he may have actually converted as a result. Because music really is very much it's a gevura thing, right? Like you got to get the right note. If you don't get the right note, like I have a friend in Montreal. I haven't seen him in years. He used to be a drummer in a band back in Russia, and he says if anybody would make a mistake, like the head of the band or the conductor would take a stick and he'd beat the musician, literally, and wrap him over the knuckles, like like mamish, like but like because musicians are very, very much gevura, right? Which tribe is the tribe of the musicians? Levi. Levium were not easy people to get along with.
Some of them still
Moshe
aren't.
Levi?
Some of them still aren't.
Huh? Some of them are still on. Oh, you're a Levi. Now I get it. Okay.
Now I get it.
So was my father.
Right. Okay. So there's a whole story about with this Levi in the end of Sefer Shoftim that is like one of the most horrifying stories in Tanakh.
Yes.
And Levim are like, it's like music. It's gevura. Who went out to take revenge on the people of Canaan? Right, Shimon and Levi. Right, Levi is it's like Shimon is al Charba Chatichia. Like it's the tribe of the sword.
Was that Moshe Levi?
Moshe was a Levi too. Yeah, he was also a gevura, right? So today there are more Kohanim than Leviim, even though originally the Kohanim were just one family from Shevet Levi. There's more Kohanim than Leviim. You know why?
Everybody wants to be a Kohen.
Right.
Because a lot of people didn't want their daughters to marry Leviim, because Leviim were musicians and school teachers, so they weren't allowed to own land in Eretz Yisrael. So they were very, very, most often Leviim were just poor people, and people didn't want their daughters to live a life of poverty. So they and then also when Ezra was asking the tribes to return to Eretz Yisrael, the Leviim, most of them didn't want to return, because in Chutz La'aretz they were able to own property, they were able to do business, and they started making money. And they didn't want to come back to Eretz Yisrael.
But are we supposed to, as a community, provide for them?
Yes.
Still, do we not provide enough, or people weren't given tithes?
They had enough for to live on. He's a Levi too.
It's rare for me to go to a shul to have more Kohanim than Leviim. It's more common to be many more Leviim Kohanim.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I said.
You said there's more Kohanim than Leviim today.
There's more Kohanim than Leviim.
Not most shuls. Not where I say.
How do you know
It's
You can look in the phone book.
When I go to wash the hands, I call it.
It's on your shul. So in your shul. Go look in the phone book.
My last name's not Levi.
Look in the phone book. I'm just telling you. It's a fact. Maybe in your shul it's not like that, but it's a fact. In the shul that I daven in, there's 2 or 3 Leviim, and they're always getting Aliyahs every week. Kahanim,
I'll start coming to your shul.
Okay, so he's saying like this, that what's the point of what he's talking about over here? What's in other words, that singing Smirot at the Shabbat table is a very, very important thing. Okay, it changes the meal into something very special. Now in Chabad, they actually, on principle, don't sing Smirot with words, even though they have songs with words and so on. But in principle, they generally don't sing Smirot with words. They just sing the Gunim. And the reason for that is because if you're singing with words, so then somebody who understands the words can get something, can have a deep experience from it. But what about somebody who doesn't understand the words, right? So they're not able to connect with it. So in principle, in Chabad, they usually just sing the Gunim, except for at Shalosh Shudas, they sing B'nai Hechola and so on. It's not like a hard and fast rule, but but again, the Indian is that it's Shabbos, and that it's time to have Oneg Shabbat, to have pleasure, right? The Shabbat is a day for Oneg and for delight, and if you're not enjoying Shabbat, if you're not doing something to make it enjoyable, then you're missing a big part of Shabbos. Okay, and that's why we get dressed up in honor of Shabbos. That's why we have special foods in honor of Shabbos. It's got to be Oneg Shabbat. Okay, and that's why it's so important to like, you know, to really remember, like, you know, not to get into arguments on Shabbat, right? And what are the reasons for lighting Shabbat candles?
So we have light in the house, so we don't get in a fight because we see what we're doing.
Right. It's because of Shalom Bayit, right? Last night, I don't know why, but last night, either in a dream but I know that I was in bed, and when I thought about it, maybe, I don't know if I was sleeping or not, but it came to me, and I'm putting it to you guys, and that it would be nice to sort of like have like little Shalom Bayit posters all over the city. Maybe even on buses. Because, and I mean Shalom Bayit, not just in terms of each individual home, but like, you know, like in Shalom Bayit and Am Yisrael also, you know. So if anybody comes up with like a little cute Shalom Bayit thing, I am telling you that I will be glad to like, you know, make something, and I will be glad to use my photocopier and get it done.
You
And
can probably incorporate that into the Purim
yeah,
situation.
but even right, but not only the Purim situation, but even the Chlal, like, you know, even like, just like, you know, just imagine, like, you know, people are walking by in the street and they see something like, you know, like a little one-liner about Shalom Bayit, you know, like, you know, just a few words, just for, so to think about it more, you know, like to bring to put it in their face, you know, like think about Shalom Bayit, right? And the Mishnah discusses in I happen to know where this Mishnah is in Masechet Sotah. So it talks about Az Yashir Moshe of Bnei Yisrael et Hashira Hazat, and it talks about how did it, like Moshe Rabbeinu knew the song, okay, like he's the one that started it. How did everybody else sing along? See, there are actually 5 opinions. So one opinion is that Moshe Rabbeinu would say a verse, and we would say Ashira Lashem, Ashira Lashem, which means I too want to sing. Okay. There's another opinion that says Moshe Rabbeinu would sing a verse and we would repeat it. There's another opinion that says that we were all inspired prophetically and we all just knew the song. There's another opinion that says that even a child that was in the middle of nursing stopped nursing and also sang. There's another opinion that says that even a fetus in its mother's womb also sang. So once Reb Shlomo explained like different levels of singing. And he said there's a level of singing like somebody singing a song, you're listening to it, and you don't really know how to participate, but you feel, I would like to sing also. That's a Shiva Lashem. There's another level where the song is being sung and you're able to repeat after the one who's singing. There's another level where you're more connected with the song that somehow or other you just begin to hear it and you know it also, right? And then there's another level, the highest level, where the song is singing you, right? Like the fetus in his mother's womb. The song is singing you. You're not singing the song is singing you. Right? I don't know if you've ever had that experience, but it's an amazing thing. Like, you know, like you just really connecting to where the music is coming from.
That's with everything. That's with any inspired action of anything.
Yeah. Right. It's like a painter closing his eyes or her eyes and just
be.
Yeah. But particularly with music, you know, music is there's a Zohar, I saw a reference in the Sefer that says that all the motion in the universe is being generated by music. And that we can't hear that music because if we would hear it, our souls would leave our bodies. It's such a powerful music. Okay?
I heard that every one of the planets has their own song.
Well, I'm not going to argue with anything that you're saying about that because I don't know, but I'm just saying, but yeah, everything, like, you know, every plant has its, you know, has its tune or something like that. But the idea is that the music that makes it move. Right? There's going to be a day that you won't have to buy gas. You'll just put a CD into the car, and the music will make the motor go. Okay? Just better not be like some of that rap lyrics. Okay. No, one night I was giving a shiur in Tel Aviv, and I came back from the central bus station, and one of those music stores was blasting a rap song, and couldn't believe how violent it was. Just so violent.
Very base level.
Huh?
Very base level.
Worse. Just how much violence. Like, you know, like, and
So about the music or the words? Or both?
No, the words. Okay, so one of the famous very popular nigunim that is sung on Friday night is to the words of Kar Ribon Olam, right? Which is what is it all about? Kar Ribon Olam ve'Olmaya, right? That God is the master of the world, of all worlds, and so on. So again, the whole consciousness of Shabbat. Right from Kiddush on, right from as soon as you light Shabbos candles, is all about I'm not the boss, God is the boss. Right? Hashem is the master of the world. And how do we acknowledge that? First and foremost by not working. Right? I'm not doing anything. I'm not doing anything to change the planet. I'm not doing anything to I'm not even making my animal do any work and so on, right? It's all about being in harmony. I think I mentioned this the other day. Yeah, about the Garden of Eden, right? The three things that were taken away was the harmony between man and man, between man and animal, between man and nature. And on Shabbat, all the things that we're not allowed to do, the 39 categories of work, they basically signify disharmony between man and nature, or disharmony between man and man, or disharmony between man and animal. Okay? So it's the whole thing is to be in that consciousness of Hashem is Ribon Olam, the master of the world. Rabbeinu HaYehudi, page 119. Rabbeinu HaYehudi HaKadosh, Mepshischa, there was one Rebbe that was known as the Holy Yid, HaYehudi HaKadosh, the Pshischa Rebbe. Omeir, he says, Shesudat Shabbat hi tikun chet Adam v'Chava. That the Shabbos meal is the fixing of the sin of Adam and Chava. V'azmirot she'anachnu sharim, and the zmirot that we sing, biyachad, together, heim hatikun shel Kain veHevel, is the tikkun of Kain and Hevel. Now, he's going to explain that a little bit. Now, but just before we go on, the point is, first of all, you have to understand the following. Every story in the Torah is not only about the people that is speaking about, these stories are about us. In other words, we are in the story, and you got to figure out who am I in the story, and what do I need to do to fix the story, right? We mentioned yesterday that the Torah is not about perfect people. There's only one person in the Torah that dies without ever having sinned, and that was Chanoch. Okay? But everybody else
Eliyahu?
in the Chumash. Okay? No, Eliyahu was I'm not going to say yes or no, but lo haya pashut.
Okay.
Right? Okay. So, but yes, you're right. There are 3 tzaddikim that they say that never did. But in any case, but the rest of the Torah is all about it's about moving towards perfection. It's not about being perfect. That's such an important point. Okay. So when you read that Adam and Chava did something wrong, that means I still have to fix that. Cain and Hevel, I am still involved in fixing that because it's about us, right? I mean, if you ever embarrassed somebody in public, then you know that you actually committed a kind of a murder, okay? And even if you just ignored somebody, made for somebody feel like they would rather not be in the world, it's also a kind of a murder, right? So Cain and Hevel, it was an actual physical murder, right? But we still have that problem so we have to fix it. So the Hasidic tradition teaches that eating together on Shabbat is the fixing for Adam and Chava, eating from the tree of knowledge. Singing together is the fixing of Cain and Hevel. So Reb Shlomo explains. He says, הנפילה של העולם הייתה בעקבות זה שקין והבל הקריבו את הקורבנות שלהם כל אחד בנפרד. The downfall in the world came about because Cain brought his sacrifice, Hevel brought his sacrifice, instead of doing something together. תארו לעצמכם, imagine שהם היו מקריבים ביחד, imagine if they would have brought their sacrifices together. איזה עולם היה לנו, what kind of a world would we have? כך, בשבת בלילה אנחנו שרים כולנו ביחד. So on Friday night we sing together, and then he says, אלו שמכירים את הניגונים, those who know the song, ואלו שלא מכירים את הניגונים, or even those who don't know the song, ואלו שיש להם קול יפה, those who have a nice voice, ואלו שנבח רוצים שיהיה להם קול יפה, and those that never want to have a good voice, ואלו שחושבים שיש להם קול יפה, and those who think that they have a good voice, כולם שרים ביחד, everybody is singing together. Okay, so now, gotta tell you the story. So when we were living in Montreal, so we had Reb Shlomo once come to us for Shabbos. It was a cold Erev Shabbat, like it was like maybe like minus 40 outside. Minus 40 in Celsius is the same as minus 40 in Fahrenheit. You ever been out there in that kind of weather?
I've never been 50 degrees warmer than that.
Okay. So it's like mamish cold. Okay. So it was like a really cold day of Shabbat, and we were having a whole bunch of people over, and Judy was cooking all day long. So like about half an hour, 45 minutes before Shabbat, people started coming in. Now, one of Reb Shlomo's very special times of the week that like, were very important to him is that he loved that half an hour before Shabbos to be sitting like, by a kitchen table with a fresh tablecloth and a pot of coffee and a babka. Everybody knows what that is, right? And a stack of svarim, and he would just be sitting there and having coffee and a piece of cake and speed reading through sefer after sefer. And I knew that this is a special time for him, so we prepared all that for him. And we lived on the third floor walk-up, so where you entered the apartment, you basically entered into the middle of the apartment. There were some rooms to the right, and there were a couple of rooms to the left. And I made sure that nobody's going to go into the kitchen during that half an hour, So I stood myself in the passageway. I didn't want anybody to bother him. So one of the guests decides it's too hot in the apartment. So
He wasn't from California.
So she goes around and starts opening windows. She opens a window, somebody goes and closes it. She goes and opens the other window. Somebody goes and closes it. She goes back and opens this window. And I'm watching this. So I'm going over to this person to tell this person, cut it out. And she takes advantage and runs into the kitchen.
Oh,
Shlomo, and she goes over to Shlomo. She says, "Oh, it's so hot over here, so hot." And Shlomo says, "Yeah, I know what you mean." And she looks at him, and Shlomo had. Do you remember Shlomo? Not so much.
I was like 4.
He had very, very thick eyebrows. And she said, "Oh, you must be boiling." And she goes over and she starts opening up each hair, so that he can get some air, I'm not making this up. And
I'm watching this though.
Listen, this is all happening in a matter of seconds. So I'm about to yank this person out, and like Shlomo gives me a look, like hold off, And she says, "Oh, it's boiling cheese, boiling cheese." And Shlomo says, "Yeah, I know." Anyway, she starts taking his beard, He says, "Oh, you're so kind. I don't know what I did to deserve such kindness." just imagine, you should know, by the way, gifted and talented people in general are very intolerant. Okay. And for Shlomo to have this tolerance that he had, because I know that as a young man he was a very intolerant person. When I was a head teacher in a school in Montreal, the best kids, the most gifted kids, were the ones who would get kicked out of class most, and be sent to me because they just couldn't stand sitting in class. Like they were 10 miles ahead of the teacher and they have to sit there like this, in front of the teacher. So like he sort of motioned to me like, "Don't mix in." Anyway, now Shlomo had a very, very long beard, and he used to roll it up, Friday after the mikveh, and tuck it in, and with like loads of pins over here, so it was like this, and she puts her hand over here and she says, "Oh my gosh," and takes a look and and sees that he's got this whole beard tucked in there, and she's about to start undoing the beard.
Oh my
like,
God.
so at that point, he put his hands on his face. He says, "Really, I don't know what I did to deserve such kindness. Just leave the beard alone, okay?" Anyway, so at that point, she left the room. And then later at the meal on Friday night, we're singing this milot, and half the people are singing and half the people are talking. So Shlomo says to me, "Shalom, you let people talk during Smirot?" I said, "What am I supposed to do?" So he says, "Don't let them." I said, "What am I supposed to do?" So he banged on the table, got everybody's attention, and he gave over this teaching about Cain and Hevel. And in our little Zmiris book there, I wrote it up, and what he said basically was like this. He said that after Hashem rejected Cain's korban and accepted Hevel's korban, right? What would have been, so he started like this. He says, what was Hevel's responsibility in getting murdered? Strange question. Sounds like California. Right? What was Hevel's responsibility in Cain murdering him? So he said, imagine if Hevel would have said to Cain, I feel so sorry that Hashem didn't accept your sacrifice. Let me share with you whatever I know about bringing this sacrifice. History would have been different. Okay? In other words, there's something about human nature where like, when you get into a gateway and somebody else doesn't, there's a part of us, part of our animal self is like to turn around and go, haha, I made it, but you didn't, right? Huh? It's true?
It's funny, yeah.
Okay? Like I made it and you didn't, right? And that is what needs to be corrected. Understand? Hevel should have gone over to Cain and said, I feel so sorry that your korban was not accepted. Let me share with you whatever I know. So what's it got to do with singing Zmirot on Friday night? So when we're singing, and you know this, sometimes you're singing and like the gates are open for you, and as a result, somebody else can enter into the gate as well. It could be that a minute later, the gate is not open for you, but the person next to you is singing in such a way that they're opening the gate for you. So the whole thing about singing together is about opening the gates. In the Kabbalah, it speaks about Sharei Negina, the gates of song, which are the gates preceding Sharei Tshuva.
What's it called? Sharei what?
Negina.
Sharei Negina.
The gates of song open the gateway to the gates of Tshuva. Okay? But the whole point is that we need to open up gates for each other. Now, so what's interesting is that, and he told me specifically, he says, I'm not allowing you to, those were not the exact words, but something like this. I don't give you permission to let people talk during Smirot. And that's why at Sholah Shudas, I have some friends who won't come for Sholah Shudas over here because they know that I'm not going to let them talk, But he like the one thing that Shlomo ever told me very specifically was, I don't give you permission to let people talk during Smirot. And I'm sharing that with you, so I'm not going to tell you I don't give you permission to do this, but okay, but it's good for you to know that. In other words, because singing Smirot is not just like, okay, let's sing a little bit. It's something very, very important. Okay. So the same person who had the patience for somebody to do this to him, and which would, You want to see how fast it can drive somebody nuts? He already moves his head away, right? And Mamish like wouldn't say anything to insult this person, or wouldn't say anything just leave me alone. But when it came to Zmirat, he said absolutely no way. No talking during Zmirat. Okay. So, Kol Mekadesh Shavi. Let's go for a couple more minutes. So everybody knows that song, Kol Mekadesh Shavi, right? Baal Shem Tov HaKadosh Masbir, the holy Baal Shem Tov explains, Ma ze lishmor Shabbat. What does it mean to keep Shabbat? שבכל שבת ברור לי שלא הייתה שבת כזו. Every Shabbos is clear to me that there was never such a Shabbos ever before. וגם לא תהיה שבת כזו עוד הפעם. And there will never be another Shabbos like this one. You want to explain what you're shaking your head about? Please do.
Okay. Just an agreement and to have every Shabbat really just be in that Shabbat and really feel like there will never be one after or before, because everything is good.
Right. And we learned something else today that relates to this very much. Anybody remember? In today's lesson.
Would you be like drunk?
What did we say? That what?
Being drunk.
He said that, right? That in other words, that to if you don't experience the essence of something, right?
No.
Then you haven't really tasted it. You didn't really get it, right? In other words, every Shabbat everything is like mamish unique, right? And
Which is interesting because it's infinite, and we're saying that infinity has differences between it.
infinite differences.
Infinite differences. Yeah.
Right. We love paradoxes. Okay. So the it's like, what do you call it? It's like when you have a bunch of children, right? Each child is the most beautiful, right? There never was anyone like this child, and there never will be anyone like this one, right? There never was anybody like you exactly, and there never will be, unless you just happen to be a Gilgul or something like that. That you've come back for another visit or something. I don't know, but still, you are unique, right? The Mishnah says, this is a Mishnah. Chayav Adam Lomar Bishvili Nivra Ha'olam. Every person is obligated to say the world was created for my sake. In other words, everything from the beginning of creation till now, as far as Hashem is concerned, was worth it just for you to be here. Okay? It's a beautiful thing, but it also puts a big obligation on every one of us. It puts a big obligation. In other words, your being here is important. Despite the fact that in the world out there they say, oh, everybody's replaceable. No, you're not replaceable. You have to be you. Don't try to be somebody else. Be who you are. Okay? And we learned, where did we learn about this before? When we were talking about the fish. What they were, right? And to try to go back and to try to be conscious of being that highest beautiful person that God dreamt of when he dreamt of you before he created the world.
Is that also Adar?
Huh?
It's also Adar?
Fish.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Pisces, right?
Mm. Oh.
Okay, so the So Kulam Yodim, everybody knows, Ma'od Amar Baal Shem Tov, what else did the Baal Shem Tov say? She'im kol leil Shabbat ata nishar besudat Shabbat im hachaverim v'mishpacha. If on Friday night you stay late at the Shabbos meal with your friends and with your family, and you sit there and you learn and share the Torah and have Onek Shabbat until midnight, you're not going to leave the world before fixing what you came to fix. חברים יקרים, בליל שבת אתה יכול לעשות ולהספיק יותר מאשר בימי הפרחי חיים רגילים. On one Friday night you can achieve more than you can achieve in 100 lifetimes. So it doesn't mean to say that if you're tired and you have a guest who wants to sit till midnight, that you should sit there with them and you're dying from being tired. You can tell them to go to Meir Sharim and go to a tish over there. You understand? It doesn't have to necessarily be in your house, but okay. But it is the whole thing about by the Hasidim with the Shabbat tish and staying up to midnight is based on this teaching from the Baal Shem Tov. But it's till midnight. At least, yeah. But the idea is biyachad. In other words, not by yourself, right? But if you happen to be by yourself, so then at least do it b'shem kol Yisrael, do it in the name of all of Israel. You understand? But learning on Shabbat is different, and singing on Shabbat is different, and everything biyachad is like by doing it all together. I have doubts as to whether I'm going to be back here on time tomorrow. I will try to be. We have a bris there's a community called Eish Kodesh. The bris is at 8:30 in the morning. It's a half an hour past Shiloh. So the bris is at 8:30. I should be back. Okay. I'll text. I'll text you maybe.
Yeah.
You're planning to be here tomorrow,
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So if I'm late, I'll let you know. Okay.
Okay.
And if I'm late, you can sort of take out some paper and do a few little Shalom Bayit posters, and we start putting them up. Okay. Okay. Shabbos. Good Shabbos.